Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Professor Dungeon Master's last video, last crafting video. So he just came on and he did a whole video and he said, "Hey, check it out! I built these two towers, right? And first of all, they're 28 millimeter towers that you would put 28 millimeter action, 28 millimeter miniatures on, right? So he actually shows how he built it, but at the beginning he says, "Hey, this is my last crafting video," and that he's going to upload to his YouTube channel. And the reason why is he spends a lot of time on them. They're very time consuming, and people don't click on them. They don't watch them, right? But if he talks about Dungeons and Dragons news, if he talks about Dungeons and Dragons at the macro level, and says, let's talk about, events that are happening in Dungeons and Dragons. Let's talk about people who are connected to Dungeons and Dragons. Let's talk about the business connected to Dungeons and Dragons. Let's talk about intellectual property material connected to Dungeons and Dragons. Then people are interested, which is fascinating, right? And so why is this? Why do subscribers not care about watching a crafting video about Dungeons and Dragons? Why do they care about a discussion of the news, a discussion of the connected people, a discussion of the business, a discussion of a higher level discussion of Dungeons and Dragons? I'm going to tell you why. I think, in my humble opinion, the reason why this is I think it's what I've been saying. Dungeons and Dragons is not a game. It is a cult. At minimum, it's not a game. Okay. Now we can have the debate next, right, on what it is, right? And some people would be like, "Oh, well, what do you think it is?" And I would say, "Oh, I think it's a human improvement engine. It was literally built by Gary Gygax to allow people to fix the deficiencies they have in themselves," right? Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, no, I'm not signing on to that. No way." But increasingly, what people are signing on to, and what is literally used in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, both of them have referred to Dungeons and Dragons as a cultural phenomenon. A cultural phenomenon, right? That it's much broader than a game. And you could see a ton of evidence, right? So let me give you some evidence, right? So one, he's got these 28 millimeter towers. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to watch that, right? Like, nobody cares like how he painted them and how he crafted them together. Nobody cares, right? You can't drag people to it, right? He's literally saying, "Hey, this is the last one that he's doing because I'm not going to spend all this time and get no views," right? Especially when he could spend much less effort just discussing Dungeons and Dragons, all the macro, all the macro patterns around it, right? And get far more views, right? So what's really interesting is I think this is because people are realizing, oh, no. If I'm going to do Dungeons and Dragons, I shouldn't spend, 20 hours building, 4 pieces of, crafting 2 pieces of terrain. What I should really spend my time on is X, right? Now, I would say that X is, I should spend my time determining what the deficiencies of the people sitting at the table are and how I can fix them with Dungeons and Dragons. And then others are saying, and then other people will be like, "Oh, wait a second. Wait, you're talking about building a tower and it takes hours and hours and hours. It takes paint and it takes glue and all this. But wait, didn't they just connect to Lego?" Right? And those guys are like amazingly good at crafting towers that would take a lot less time and actually would have a lot more options, and that would be much more flexible and better in every possible way, right? And so, and again, that's an IP crossover, right? Like, so Dungeons and Dragons crosses over with Lego, and both of them make a fortune. And get this, right? That Lego crossover, I saw it, I watched it, right? When I went in to buy the Lego Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, the CMFs, custom minifigures, I had to rush over to the stand to buy them before many people who never have played Dungeons and Dragons and never intend to play Dungeons and Dragons, who wanted those custom minifigures more than I did, right? That's astonishing, right? So when, yeah, and can you imagine, like, of course, who's going to watch your video about crafting, towers, when if you were covering the news of, this new thing coming out, like, people are like, oh, well, if Dungeons and Dragons just connected to Lego, this tower that you built is literally junk. I could build something which, with much less money, with massive innovation, I could make it 10 different colors, and all the parts are there, right? And I have far more parts than I would ever have to craft, right? You could just build it, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be accessible, right? And then I can literally take those instructions and tell other people how to do it who aren't good at painting and aren't good at cutting things with X-Acto knives, right? I don't have to worry about somebody cutting their finger off. They can just literally click this thing together, and it's going to be way better than anything you build, right? It's incredible. It really is wild. I thought this was a very interesting video. I do feel bad for Professor Dungeon Master, because I know he loved making those videos, and also, here he is, like, saying, "Hey, the whole reason I built this this channel is now irrelevant. Like, literally, no one cares, right? Like, not enough to warrant the labor," which is astonishing and sad. And my hat off to him. I feel bad for him. I also think it's very interesting that he wasn't like, "Oh, bye." No, he's like, "No, I'm definitely gonna switch over. I'm gonna do what people care about," which is wild, which is really wild. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.